Well, good afternoon or morning or wherever you are. I don't know what it is where you are, but it's afternoon here in Georgia. So, good afternoon. I hope everybody's doing great. Most of the country is still sheltered in, I guess, and, staying home. I actually have not stayed at home during any of this stuff. I have gone out and done my thing. And it just seems kind of weird, that 200 people can go to Home Depot or Costco or something like that, but you can't go to Waffle House. Anyway, that's just my opinion. But Georgia lifted their stay at home ban last night, and so everybody can go out except for the rules of people like, you know, um, like older folks and people that are more stressed out and that type of thing. So let me know you're here, and we'll put your comments up kind of here and there. And we're trying to do the show a little bit differently. I haven't been on in a while. Instead of trying to go daily, I've decided to try to go about once a week and do it right and do it nice and really plan it out and that kind of stuff and have a real show for you. And, I still might pop on here and there just to say hi, let you know what's coming up. But I want to try to get some good content, some good quality to this thing and make it enjoyable for people. So I hope you'll stick with me to the very end. I've got a great interview today with a good friend of mine that is that you don't want to miss. So I want you to check that out. But anybody that pops up, that type of thing. So let me get straight to my fun stuff right here. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to show you this right here. And I've tried to do this a little differently. I got my funny photos, and I'm doing it like this. Can you see me? I'm in the corner right over there to the left of your screen. And so this is where we're going to do our funny pictures for the day. I still like doing that because I still like looking at funny pictures. So I'm still going to do those and put those up. So here's the first one that I love. This was at Home Depot. They said, due to local ordinances, all individuals are required to wear masks or face coverings while in public. And here's a son and a dad, what they did, which I thought was awesome. Planet of the Apes mask. That's the way to do it. I love that. And then this one right here. Now that we've got hand washing down, next, turn signals. Amen. Can you get amen for that? People use your blinker. We call it here in the South, your blinker. Left, right. Oh, that irritates me more than anything. That's the reason I don't put Christian stickers on my car, because I don't want to, the church I don't like. That's what I put on my car. So, anyway, so that is that one. Let me show you this one. This was on Good Morning America, and they look at the bottom there. See at the very bottom, they didn't. He's not wearing any pants. A lot of people are doing that. I watched some of the Fox News people. They're all doing it from home, and they're not wearing pants. Which I guess if I stood up, you'd know that. If I stood up right now. But anyway, he's not wearing pants. As you can see, I thought that was funny. And then this one, if you're a smoker, he made his own mask. Now check that out. It's even got a chimney with the smoke coming out of the top of it. Now that is crazy. So, and then we have right here, this is at a church, which I thought was great. Good Lord, deliver us a pizza. I thought that was great. Good Lord, deliver us a pizza. It's good to have churches with a sense of humor. That's what I say. All right, so now let's look at this one. I shouldn't cough on mic, should I? But you can tell you're bored when you make your toilet into a thing. Let's see here. Make a toilet into, sorry, some comments were popping up there. I don't want to get distracted. I'll bring your comments up in a minute. But isn't this cool? Made a monster out of his toilet seat. Okay, let's see what else we got. Now, this is funny. This is a tag on a jacket. Look, warning, tearing this tag off will result in you not having this tag anymore. Can we get a duh? Take that person and put him on the cover of Duh magazine. That's what I'm saying. All right. This is so true. Y'all seen those air hand dryers in the stores? Place hands under jet. 2, lose hearing. 3, walk away with wet hands. That is the trick. Those are the loudest things. It's like a leaf blower going. Wah! And it's unbelievable. Those things. It's crazy. And then here's another one. After 40 days of quarantine, this is what we're all looking like. Isn't that funny? After 40 days of quarantine, this is what we're looking like. That is the trick. So now, so that's funny. Let me put this up here. David Michael Lee says, always funny. And let's see if this works. There we go. Always funny. Let me see if I can, some of this we have, it goes across the whole screen. I guess you can see that. I can't see it all because of that. And thank you, Connie Childers. Always, these are funny. Aren't they funny? I love the pictures and all the different things that people are putting out. I tell you what, it brings out the true humor in everybody nowadays in this quarantine time. So, anyway, I want to get right to something new that I'm going to do. First of all, let me just say, stay to the end. I promised everybody last week that I would tell about a financial miracle. Now, let me make something very clear. We're going through a tough time right now. And money is short for everybody financially. I make my living by doing concerts and events. All 3 months, last month, this month, next month, we're all wiped out. And so I have no money coming in. And my wife and I are living off our savings is going down, 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 down. And it's getting down toward the end. So if something doesn't happen soon, it's going to be tough for all of us. Now, I'm thankful that yesterday I did get a check from the government for that stimulus that the president made available to everybody. And I have no problems taking that because I paid the government plenty of taxes over the years, plenty. So when you get that check, you earned it because you paid into it. That's for sure. So spend it. So I'm thankful for that. That's going to help catch up on some bills. But we're all going through tough times. But a few years ago, I had hip surgery and a $74,000 hospital bill that I'm going to tell you what happened. If you'll stay to the end of the show, I'll tell you what happened with that. It's pretty amazing. I've heard of stories like this. I've heard of people going through financial miracles like this, but I got to tell you the story on that. But what I'm adding to this show is I'm trying to do interviews with people. Some of you have met some of my friends from my church. We do some concerts together. And so I recorded an interview yesterday with one of my best friends, and I want to bring up that interview. So watch this. I think you'll really enjoy it. So check this out. I'm really excited to have one of my closest and best friends for well over 30 years alive with me right now to do an interview. I want you to just put your virtual hands together and welcome my friend Billy Lord. Hey, Billy.
Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Good. Doing really good. I'm glad that we're able to get online and do this interview. First of all, what do you think about this whole coronavirus? We don't have to get political or anything because I'm sure there's Democrats and Republicans that watch this, and I won't say who's crazy. but what do you think about it all?
Suffice it to say that in the state of Georgia, restaurants are open, and I've been to a restaurant every day since Monday. How's that?
There you go. Did you wear a mask?
I didn't. I took hand sanitizer in, and all the people in the restaurant had them on, but you have to eat, so you can't eat with a mask on. So I skipped it, but
right.
It was great. Everybody was great.
Well, that's what I did. I went to Waffle House. That's my favorite, and went there first, and licked off every utensil to make sure it was clean, and gave it to everybody. But yeah, I'm glad we're getting back to. I've never liked the phrase "we're going to have a new normal." I've never liked that. I don't know why. I like to be back to where we need to be and get back in church. That's what I'm most excited about. Which brings me to you, because you're now in church. You've been going to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. Tell people about what you do.
Well, I'm the worship arts and creative arts pastor at Eagles Landing First Baptist Church, and been there for a little over 16 years. And we've been doing online services since I believe it was March 15th we started, and it's It's been great in some ways. Obviously, we miss being with our people, and but one of the cool parts that's come out of it is that we've actually expanded our reach. We've got people from I think about 25 different states that watch the stream, and then we I think 17 different countries have tuned in to watch our services online. So that's been really cool. So it's kind of expanded the ministry of the church, and we're talking now about how we keep that going after this ends, and we're allowed to meet as a congregation again. So
Yeah, yeah.
good and bad. We definitely miss our people.
Yeah, that's true. And Eagles Landing First Baptist, that's Eagles plural landing.org. And you and I both have people that we've met outside of the church and concerts that now tune in to the live from different states that we know that watch the service.
I came on staff right when Mark Hall was our youth pastor at the time, and it was right when Casting Crowns, he's the lead singer and songwriter, it was right when their ministry just exploded, and so I was had a front row seat to just watch what God did with them.
Yeah, and he's still the youth pastor there at the church and still sings on the worship team. I remember back in the day when they just had their band on Wednesday nights with the youth, and I think you remember this too, and Pastor Tim we didn't allow that in big church, And it's funny how when you start selling platinum and gold records, how you can, now he's part of the praise team. It's amazing how that stuff changes, So now growing up, a lot of people know you through the music and worship arts pastor and this type of thing, but you came out of a very unique family of athletics. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my dad's a football coach. He's actually finally retired, but he coached for, I think, like 56 years or so, but coached at all different levels, high school, college, and spent 9 years in the NFL and 1 year in the USFL before it folded. But so I grew up in a football family, loved sports, played sports year round, and had a good high school career, and ended up getting a scholarship to play football at Liberty University. That was quite a while ago, but it's been exciting to see that program grow. But yeah, so I grew up in a family where athletics were a big thing, but my mom was also a piano player, and we'd gather around the piano as a family and sing, and so music was always a big part of life too. So that's always kind of a unique blend, but my dad was very supportive in my music as well as my athletics.
Well, and you've got a great family. I know both your mom and dad, and your dad being because he coached for Green Bay, I think, and Chicago Bears, and who was it? New York Giants?
New York Giants,
yeah.
Yep.
Which moved you all over the country, right? I mean,
yeah, people always say, "Where are you from?" And I've been in Atlanta since '84, so this has really become home. But we moved about every 2 years when I was growing up, and so we hopped around a lot, and we moved from North Carolina to Massachusetts. I lost my Southern accent in 2 weeks because they make fun of me.
Yeah, I'm sure. So what was the last place you lived in before you moved to Georgia? I mean, you went to Liberty, but at Lynchburg, but as a kid.
In fact, when we were in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Dad coached with the Packers for 4 years as an assistant there, and then we moved. When I went to Liberty, the moving van literally went from Green Bay to New Jersey, where he was going to coach with the Giants. And my family dropped down to Lynchburg, dropped me off, and then they drove up to New Jersey to meet the moving truck.
Oh, my goodness. That's pretty incredible. And you probably got to meet a lot of big-time – anybody that we would recognize names that you got to meet, because you were a ball boy or something, right?
Yes. In high school, I was a ball boy. Of course, that was back in the late 70s. So a lot of those Packer players may not be as familiar to folks. But when Dad went with the New York Giants, there were Phil Simms was the quarterback they drafted. And so I got to meet Phil Simms, and Lawrence Taylor was a linebacker they drafted. It was a all-pro for years. And so those are probably the two biggest names that I got to be around. Of course, when he was at Green Bay, Bart Starr was the head coach.
Oh, wow.
So Bart Starr was, a childhood hero that I just looked up to. And I can still remember the day when Dad got the job out there, and my brother and I were out there, and I saw the door at the end of the hallway open, and here came Bart Starr. My eyes just were big like saucers, because, this is a guy I'd watched on TV, and just he was a hero. So it was really cool to meet him.
Sure. And your dad, he loved Jesus probably most of all. Your mom probably second most of all. Then probably football. I think football before the kids, maybe even, because your dad loves football, and he. How old is he now?
He just turned 90 back in
Wow.
February.
And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for your mama, he'd probably be out there still on the field, right?
Yes. In fact, they moved to Colorado from here in Georgia, and mom has Alzheimer's,
Uh-huh.
and they moved to a assisted care facility out there, and he even coached out there for a little while, and then it was too much to be away from mom, and
Yeah.
he gave up his love to be with her. So
Yeah, well, and that's his true love right there.
yep,
So
that's right.
that's great. Yeah, because if it wasn't for her, he'd have probably died on the field of a heart
Right.
attack or something. That was the way he would. And he'd been happy, I'm sure,
Yep.
to go that
Yep.
way. But your mom's a great lady, and I want people to encourage them to pray for your dad and pray for your mom, because people that
Yep.
go through those type of things, it can be challenging and tough and
Yes.
stressful for sure. Now, when you went to Liberty, you were there on a football scholarship and play. What position did you play at Liberty?
I was a defensive back, mainly played free safety,
Uh-huh.
and that was back in let's see, my freshman year was 1979, which that's a long time ago, Scott.
Long
But
time ago.
yeah,
I started in '80 because you were just, I guess, a year ahead of me.
yeah,
And I didn't know, I knew you at Liberty, but didn't know you well because I was on the music singing teams, and you were on the football, and you were in the football dorm and with all the
yep,
football players. And but you did your mom's love of music, you know, was passed on to you, and
yeah,
you loved music there. Tell us a little bit about your ministry you had outside of football.
yeah. Well, we I'd been playing guitar for a while and writing songs when I went to Liberty, and I thought about majoring in music, but with the commitment to football, it was really hard to put the time into it and the class schedule and that kind of thing. So I was actually a business major, but did a lot of singing in the dorms for prayer groups and some chapels. And there were a couple other football players that sang with me. We had what they called the football trio, and we'd sing in chapel from time to time and have a great time with that. In fact, I just got a text from a group of guys this morning about we had a ministry called Men of Armor, where the football team in the off season would go to churches and public high schools, and we do like weightlifting demonstrations and give testimonies and do some music. And it was a really cool ministry. And so I just was texting with some guys about that this morning, just reminding some of the great ministry and times we had with that.
Yeah, and I remember the football trio and you singing there. And who was in that besides you?
Uh, a friend named Clay Thompson and another friend named Earl Rector.
Okay, you keep up with them at all, or what they're doing?
Uh, I haven't been out of touch with Earl for a while, but Clay and I have made contact again. He lives here in Atlanta as well. So
Cool. Cool.
there were a lot of football team that came from Atlanta. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys here.
Sorry, I muted my mic because I didn't want to cough real big in my mic. But and when you left Liberty, that's when you started full time. You did a concert ministry right out of Liberty. Is that correct?
Right. I just started traveling different churches and doing on concerts, and ended up doing a lot of stuff with students and camps. And so in those settings, that's where worship leading really kind of began. And so I kind of shifted from just doing songs that I'd written to songs that people sang along with, and had a lot of fun with that. So I just did that for several years, and then did some part-time ministry with some different churches, and then landed at Eagles Landing full-time 16 years ago.
And I think that's how we really connected, because you were doing a lot of because we were all younger back then, right out of college, and doing music, and so we did a lot of youth events, and you did a lot of youth worship for different churches and in different weeks, and you would go and be their worship pastor, really, and you kind of were like the traveling worship minister for different youth ministries, right?
Yeah, and got an opportunity to pour into a lot of young musicians, and teaching them not only musical stuff, but also just what it meant to be a disciple. And a lot of them are in ministry now, and so it's been it's been really cool to see that over the years.
Now,
I've got to use that.
was Megan Garrett, who's the piano player and one of the female singers on Casting Crowns, didn't you meet her originally through that type of ministry?
Yeah, her family was at another church here on the south side of Atlanta, and I was leading music for, it was called Power Play. It was a student ministry there at Community Bible Church, and Megan's family was part of that church then, and so I really had gotten to know her older sister and older brother more than her, but she was young and coming up, but I think she was in middle school when I was there, and just had the opportunity to for her to she was part of that ministry and to be able to lead them in worship, so that was cool.
Yeah, and you and I both at the time. When I left Liberty in 1986 and I graduated 84. I didn't want people to think I started 80, went to 86. I was a little bit smarter than that, but moved back to Atlanta in 86 and went to First Baptist Atlanta. And you were doing some Wednesday night music stuff because Andy Stanley was the youth pastor, and I would do some speaking and whatever I did Wednesday night with Andy, and that's where I met Andy, and I think you met him. Tell that, because I know you told me and you told some other folks what he back then when he was about to start. So tell about that story.
Oh yeah, well maybe not the greatest move, but we had decided to move to the south side of Atlanta to partner with the Community Bible Church, and so we were leaving First Baptist Atlanta, and it was during that time I, like you said, with the youth group there at First Baptist, and Andy took me to lunch one day, and they were getting ready to start this ministry called Good Stuff, and they were going to do some camps and that kind of thing, and he was asking me if I'd be interested in being a part of that, doing some music, and of course I was, but I said, unfortunately we're moving to the south side, and he said, I don't think that'll be a problem, but it never materialized after that. So,
and Good Stuff is what, and that ended up being the whole music ministry at North Point, and it could have been a different. Well, God, He's got the plan. It's funny how we look back at what the multiverse, we might be living a different way in some other, who knows? I watch too much Star Trek, but anyway, that's funny how our lives can be different with just a slight. That's the reason decisions matter, but you're in a good place now, doing a lot of great ministry, and since I go to the same church as you do, and of course let me go back first, because you were doing music and concerts, and I saw you at a couple of banquets and things that you were leading worship, and I was spoke at some, and some you were leading music, but you were on a record label, because you're a great songwriter too. That's one thing that we do have at our church, Eagles Landing First Baptist, a lot of great songwriters. And of course Mark Hall's one, and you're one, and Matt Duran, and different ones. But you've written a lot of songs, and you were on a record label at one time, correct?
Yeah, it was a friend of mine, Richard McBrayer, out of Asheville, North Carolina. He had, when Squire Parsons left the Kingsman Trio, Squire did his first solo album with Richard, and Beulah Land was on that first album, and that really put him on the map. But Richard was a big influence and helped me in getting started in ministry, and allowed me to be a part of his label there for a little bit.
Yeah, and back then, of course, we did cassettes and records, LPs, right? You remember that?
LPs, yes.
Yeah, LPs.
Yes.
Which, what goes around comes around, because now they're popular again. And I don't know, do you still have any old LPs laying around anywhere?
Well, I just pulled one out of the archives, but this was done back in 1983.
Oh, look at there. I remember that. Wow, you had hair.
That was, in fact, this was one of the songs.
Back it up a little bit. There you go.
It's called I Don't Know the Time of the Season.
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah, I do. That's awesome. How many of those you got left?
I think I've got a couple of boxes, maybe 40 or 50. I don't know. There's I use them for white elephant gifts at Christmas parties now.
But there's some great songs. Listen, here's what I'm going to do. If you got 40 or 50, and I don't know if anybody will buy them or not, I don't know. But if you'll let me, I'll take a picture of it, and I'll put it on my website in my store, and ScottDavis.com/shop, and I'll put Billy Lloyd's record there, and if you'll pay the shipping, part of it, Billy, and you'll go ship them, how much? $10? You want to do that and just see plus shipping? Is that all right?
Yeah, plus shipping, that'd be great.
If you're a record collector, then you need Billy Lord's record to add to your collection. That's all I'm saying. So
Now,
let's celebrate.
Tell you this, but one of the youth pastors in our church, he was at a Goodwill, and in the bargain bin.
In the bargain bin.
It was one of my other records. It was on sale for $1. He was like the featured album of the week at Goodwill.
Well, we're all needing to find new ways to make a living during this coronavirus stuff. So maybe it'll help you and Cassie to get out to another restaurant or something, and support the people who need the money. So so I'll put it on the store. Who knows if we'll sell any? So people go to ScottDavis.com/shop and look for Billy Lord's LP, $10 plus shipping, and I'll let you know, Billy, and you can send them out to the people. How's that?
Right. That'd be great.
And that'll be great. So now, going back to the songwriting stuff, I think you're an underrated songwriter, because I think you're a phenomenal songwriter. You've written a lot of songs that are great. I remember one called Little Things or something that ruined the whole thing. Anyway, there's some great old songs. You see how well I know that. But one of them hit me so well that I love so much, called He Just Sees Him, which is a great resurrection song. It's great for Easter. Tell us the story behind that, because I actually recorded that on a record a few years back, but tell us about that.
Yeah, in fact, it's on the record I just held up. That was the first time I recorded it. But the song, I wrote at Liberty University. I think it was my senior year, and Ed Dobson, he was the dean of students, and had so much respect for him. And he used to do a Sunday night church service at Thomas Road in the chapel, and a lot of the students would go to that. And I remember one night we were in there, and he was talking I think we did communion, and he was talking about what Jesus had gone through for us, and it just really moved me. And so when I got back to the dorm, we had a prayer room, and I grabbed my guitar and just went down there and just kind of started writing what I was thinking about. And probably the scripture that really ties into that is 2 Corinthians 5:21. It says, God made him, Christ, who knew no sin, to be sin on our behalf, in order that we might become the righteousness of God in him. And so just that thought that God can look at me, a sinner, but when I'm a believer in Jesus, he sees me through Jesus. And that's where that line, he just sees him. When he looks at me, he just sees him.
Yeah, that is a great line. And that's exactly right, because God is perfect. And when we get to heaven, there will be no sin, and he cannot look on sin. That's the reason I think we have to go through Jesus, and he sees us through Jesus and the sacrifice and blood he paid for us, and because God's holy. And I think a lot of people miss that, that the holiness of God, and the fear of God, and a healthy fear, not like he's going to be mean to us, but a healthy respect, fear of God and his holiness. Anyway, it's a great song, and it's on that record. So if you want to hear it, get that record. That'll be great. And hopefully, I don't know where you've had them stored. Hopefully, it hasn't melted too much. The grooves are still good.
Well, we'll have to put a disclaimer on there that they could be slightly warped. It's hard to say, but
you see that thing going
around
when it's going around. Yeah, you've seen those, but they still sound. That's what they like, that real old acoustic, whatever you call it, non-analog. That's it, analog sound.
Yeah, analogs. It was the thing. But anyway.
Well, now you're, of course, worship arts pastor, which really you're over a lot of stuff at the church, because our church is, I guess, considered a mega church, because I think anything over 1,000 people is considered that these days, and we do have over that with multiple campuses and services. But you are over not just the music. When people think worship arts, that's music, but you're over a lot of tech and other things, right?
Right. Yeah. So we've got a video team, obviously, the audio and lighting and all the staging and all that goes with that. I oversee that. I mean, we've got some incredible people that do the real work. And Then this past year, I was put in charge of our creative department, which I oversee our website and all our church communications and our graphics. We have an in-house graphic department,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot that goes with it. But
And on the side, you still do some concerts. I know you do with me because I don't like traveling by myself. Now my wife travels with me, but I like traveling with friends. And there's people out there. You've done concerts with me, Matt. During some people know him has done concerts with me, different ones, and Babby Mason, and we just have fun. And I like that camaraderie. And so you're still doing some events with me, at least I think so, right? I hadn't
we've
ran you off yet.
well, we've had a lot of fun at the Christmas season. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. You said, "Hey, what if I'm just going to send out some emails and see if some churches are interested in a Christmas concert?" And so my wife Cassie and you and I did several Christmas concerts, and man, that's been a blast. But probably, and I know you've said this, that the favorite thing that you do is the Get Real student conferences, and,
Yes.
and I've been honored to be a part of that since back in the
So when I started them, I started it probably in the mid '90s. I don't know, 94, 95, somewhere in there, and for those of you who don't know, it's, Christian schools usually have start off the school year with a chapel a day for a week. And it's called a spiritual emphasis week to try to get off the school year started off on a good spiritual note. And a lot of schools just aren't big enough to bring somebody in. So kind of the concept is what one school couldn't do by themselves. Several schools come together, can do something big. And when I started those back in the mid '90s, you were the first person I talked to, and you've been with me from the beginning to do the music. And so you're kind of the Get Real worship arts director, really, of the conferences. And if people want to know about that, just go to getrealnow.us, like United States, getrealnow.us, or what we're doing right now is One Real Day, ONEREALDAY.com, and that's our current version. It's a one-day conference. It's kind of tough putting those together during this whole coronavirus stuff because all the schools are shut down and you can't reach any principals or anything else. Well, it's always been just our friends that just happened to be God used in a great way. Barry Owen, who was youth pastor at First Baptist Atlanta with Charles Stanley, and of course Mark Hall. Well, that's the first time I ever met Mark because you suggested, hey, this guy's a good speaker, and so he would come and do some of the speaking. And
didn't even know he sang.
And he said, "You mind if I do a little song?" I said, "Whatever, I ain't paying you for that." And so that was back in the day, and that's how long we've known Mark. But just friends that happen to be they go on to do great things in ministry, and that's what I love about it because the heart. We all have the same heartbeat, the same passion for students, and I was a lost Christian school kid. Just because you go to a Christian school doesn't mean you're a Christian, and as well as I do, Billy. Sometimes you're standing up there that first song, and they're sitting there, they're like this, like tell me something I already heard.
Yep.
And it takes a little bit. That's why we call it Get Real, because we try to tear down those walls. And you're really good at that, and you're good at connecting the music to the kids. You do audience participation songs and fun songs and energetic songs. You don't just sing it to sing it because this is my favorite song. You really plan it out. Tell a little bit of how you plan out those things for these conferences.
Yeah, well, like you said, our goal is to get kids involved. You always say if you get people to laugh, you can get them to listen. And I think music is another one of those tools, just like comedy and humor is, that even kids that maybe don't even know the Lord, when they hear others around them worshiping and connecting with God, they may even try to sing the lyrics. And I think God uses that to just connect to their hearts through the emotion of the songs. And so we've just seen God, like you said, bring down these barriers. And it's usually a process, as the day goes on, or the 2-day conference, it takes time for kids to kind of open up, and they hopefully they see in us that it's real. And we love to interact with the students before the sessions start and just talk to them, get to know them, find out their names. And so when we're up there singing, I might call out a kid by name. And I think even though I don't know every student's name, just knowing a few of the kids by name, there's a heart connection there. And I think God uses all that just to bring down the walls. And so his gospel can just penetrate their hearts. And we've seen hundreds, maybe thousands of kids over the past 25 years. It's been a while, but just God has used this conference to really impact a lot of students.
And that's what I love about the team members. There's it's no star people. We're all on the same level, and they don't go congregate in the green room. Everybody's out meeting kids and talking with kids and meeting them on their level and speaking on their level, which I love. Please, I'd love for anybody watching this to go check out our conferences, because really, if I would do that, Billy, I think we would all just do that, if that would be what God called us to do, to reach people. And let me tell you, at church, Eagles Landing First Baptist, we have a Christian school, Eagles Landing Christian Academy, and it is a large Christian school. I don't know, probably 1,100 total students. And there's a lot of parents that send their kids to a Christian school, not because of Jesus. It's just a better education than government schools, and that's what they want. So there's a lot of lost. I heard, and you probably can confirm that, there's probably Muslim kids that go to our school, and probably some atheists. I know there's some atheists at some other schools, because I've had principals tell me that God worked in their life at a conference to say, hey, I want to know more about this Jesus person, which is really neat. And you remember when we were in Las Vegas and we had an international school come. Remember that? And there was a lot of basketball people from.
They had a great basketball program.
Oh, they were huge. I mean, they were like trees walking around. And we had Rick and Mick there, who are only 5 foot anyway,
Right.
And these guys were like 7-footers. It was really a contrast, that's for sure. Several of them received Christ, but some of them you noticed. Tell about that, because some of them were like, I don't, and you saw their countenance change over those 2 days.
Oh yeah, from standing in a line and they don't know you're behind them, and you hear them, cussing and just carrying on, and that didn't want to be there and were bored, and that was a 2-day conference, and we just saw in those 2 days, again, the walls just came down, and several of those basketball players were at the altar praying to receive Christ, just weeping, and just a radical life change. And my wife Cassie has a text ministry. And there's kids from that conference. That was, how many years ago was that? 10?
That was 2011, I think.
Yeah.
So 9 years ago.
Kids she still texts with and keeps up with from that conference. It's just so it's not just a 1 day or a 2 day, but we see God use this over the years.
Absolutely.
It's really cool.
Absolutely. And we did a video about it. We did one last summer, or August, but school had just started in Orlando. And if you go to onerealday.com, you go see there's a little short. I said keep it like a movie trailer, short. And so it's less than 3 minutes long, 2.5 minutes. Check that out, and you'll see some of Billy's music and what we did there, and what God did really. And we want to go where God's showing up, and I'm telling you, God's moving in some of these schools, and we'd love to do more of that. I will close with this story. You and I were doing an event together where was it? New Orleans, I think. You remember that? It was we were doing a
oh my goodness.
We were going to fly down to New Orleans to speak for a youth event for 3 days, and our first session was I think 10 in the morning, and you and I were at the airport. Atlanta Airport. You remember that? And we were flying.
It was a Value Jet.
Value Jet. I think it wasn't even AirTran yet. Value Jet, and then it was AirTran, and that's Southwest. So it was Value Jet, and and it was the last flight of the day. And they said, we were at the gate. You remember that? And it said it was delayed, 45 minutes delay. And it was like 2 gates down. There was like a Wendy's or something. And you and I decided to go get something to eat.
Have some dinner.
Right. And when we got back, everybody was gone. And they said, oh, the flight left. And I said, but you said, but we got it all worked out and we left. I'm like, what? And it was doors shut, plane gone, didn't see it. And I didn't know what we were going to do, because that was the last flight of the day. And we had to be there at 10 a.m. the next morning for the first session in New Orleans. Yep. And it was already about 11:30 at night.
It was late.
Yeah. And if anybody knows about the Atlanta airport, there's these trains that go, and they're miles apart. We go down to the train, out of order. You remember that? It was out of order.
Yes.
And we were at Concourse E, and we had to go all the way. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Our carry-on stuff. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, I had my carry-on stuff, and I was, we had to go down that sidewalk. I don't even think the moving sidewalk was working. We just walked. And the wheels broke off of my little bag. I was like, what is going on? And then I looked, and because they had tagged my bag, to go on the flight. And I looked down, and the number said 666, and I said, "This is the trip from hell," because it was. And so we had to go, and it was midnight at least by then, and we had to find a rental car company that was open. And did you drive any that night? I think you did, but we split the driving up.
It was a long night. Oh,
but we drove and drove and drove, and we got there probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half before the session was supposed to start.
Yep.
And then we had the session, and then went and slept the rest of the afternoon, I think. But we worked it out.
We didn't interact with the kids.
No, that's one time we didn't interact with the kids, because I would have been, "What do you want? I don't want to talk to you." Because it was just terrible. But that was the trip from hell. That's what I called it.
Yes,
but
it was. Oh, that's
it's
funny.
fun on the road. Because tell about, you probably got some funny stories. Because you had a whole band. It was called the Billy Lord Band, and you had band and all the band members. And tell them about the one, I think it was Tommy, that snored.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tell them about that, because they said, because you knew I snored,
player.
but he didn't know I snored. But
yeah, our keyboard player Tom, we would draw straws to see who had a room with him, because he snored so loud. And so we're on this trip with you. And so we just figured, we knew you snored. So the best thing was just put the two snorers together. That makes sense, right? And we'd see who won the snore off. So the next morning, Tom, when he came to breakfast, he was just real mad. And he said that, I think it was in the middle of the night. Didn't you go in the bathroom?
Because he was all, you can't out snore me. I'll probably keep you up, this kind of business. And I go out like a light, because I'm out like a light. And I woke up like 5 a.m. to go to the bathroom. And there's nobody in his bed over there, And I look, he is fully dressed and everything, sitting at the door like that. He goes, "Man, you snore." That was funny.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So,
but that was a great days. We did a lot. We took the band a lot to these conferences. We drove up to New Jersey, through New York City, and took the van and the trailer and all the stuff. And we had a lot of great times doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I remember on the subway. I think it was Tom was sitting next to you. Of course, in New York, you're not supposed to look at people because they'll kill you, right? So
that's right.
We were on the subway, and Tom just at the top of his lungs goes, "Kiss you? I hardly know you."
Yeah, right.
and all the people on the subway just, their newspapers came down. They're looking like
I know. They broke up.
Several of them got up and went to another car, and
yeah, your signal broke up just a little bit. But that's right. He was like, "Come here. I need to tell you something." I got real close, like that. And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Kiss you? I don't even know you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what an idiot!" But those are fun times. You even did one of your songs. I remember filming you right there in Times Square. You were in Times Square, and you did a line of one of your songs with all the cars going by to put in a music video. I don't know if that ever got made or not, but that was fun. Those were good times.
Yeah, I don't think we ever finished that. So
probably let's go back and do it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Record it now and cut between the footage. No hair. But anyway, this has been fun. Thank you for doing this interview. And I wanted just people to get to know you, because I know there's people that have met us in our concerts here and about and around the country that tune in and watch you online at eagleslanding.org. And maybe we'll try to put together another Christmas thing if we're allowed to be out by then. Oh, let's hope so.
I hope we are. So that would be a blast.
Well, thank you, Billy. Go to billylord.com. So you got to go there and update it. and I will put your record, your LP on the website. Check that out and buy one of those. Tell your wife, Cassie, hello, and go check them out. Thank you, Billy, for joining me today.
Good to see you. Take care. Love you, bro.
Bye-bye. And there we go. And I have put Billy's LP online. If you go to ScottDavis.com/shop. You will see Billy's LP record right there. Well, he just sees him. It's only $10 plus shipping. That will help him out, get rid of those out of his garage, and I think he'll appreciate that. So he and his wife can get out and go eat and help some other people. Let me put up a few comments here. Here's Olga. Olga, hey, Enestroza. She said she receives her messages every day, which is very, very cool. Her text messages. Cassie really has a great ministry doing that. But that was my interview. We're going to do another interview each show. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. And I got some people lined up. My pastor, Tim Dowdy, is lined up to do an interview with me. We've got Juan DeVivo is going to do an interview with me. He's one of the guitar players and singers for the group Casting Crowns, who goes to our church as well. And we're going to line up some more interviews like that. Mark Lowry said he would do an interview with me. So we're going to try to have guests on every time I do this show. And we're going to try to do it once a week, not once every day. So that gives me time to prepare it and do it right. And so it's good to see Shane Wilbanks and Buddy Maynard. It's great to see you, my friend. But let me see if I can bring up here. I'm going to go back to this slide here. This is live right here. I want to tell you about this right here. This is the T-shirt and mask. We came up with a mask that Donna made. Donna, my wife, is a nurse, as you know, and she came up with this design, Jesus, with the heartbeat lines on this woman's cut T-shirt. It is a woman's cut. We have them in small through XXX, I think, on our store. And that is available now. And we did a mask as well, because people are going to be wearing these masks for a while. God forbid that this thing pops up again in the fall or whatever. I hope this thing is done with. But there are going to be other times when we need a mask and they're going to make us wear a mask or need to wear a mask. Well, we put this together in a mask. So if you're going to walk around Walmart or walk around Home Depot or walk around Costco, let's make the name of Jesus known. We put it on a mask. There it is right there. And you can go to my store, ScottDavis.com/shop. And there is the mask. You can get the matching T-shirt or just get the mask by itself. Christian school principal yesterday from Orlando area, Kissimmee, Florida, ordered 35 of those masks, which I thought was awesome. And she's going to use it for when the teachers come back to school. They're going to have a teacher's appreciation, staff appreciation, and they're giving those to all the teachers because they're going to be wearing masks during this time for the foreseeable future. So they're $20, and man, I tell you, I got a frog right there. $20 a piece, and when you pay for that, it helps us. As you know, we're not on the road. All of our schedule's been wiped out, and I got to make a living. My wife likes living indoors and having the air on and that kind of thing. So this helps support our ministry during this time too. That money goes for that. Plus, it gives you something to promote the name of Jesus. That's what it's about, and we're trying to minister and still do the right things during this weird time that we're in. So check that out. And then check out Billy's LP record. Go ahead and buy those things. Get those out of his garage for him. He just sees him as a great, great song. So check all that stuff out. Now, in closing, I want to tell you real quick about this financial miracle that happened to me. Listen, I had hip surgery a few years back, and we thought we had good insurance. We did not. And the insurance company came back and forth, said pre-existing, and they just would not pay it. They would not pay it. And this went on for over a year and a half, fighting with the insurance company. And I paid some of it out of pocket because we had a big deductible, but I still owed $73,000 or $74,000 to the hospital. $73,000 or $74,000. That's a lot of money. Didn't have that. And I told Donna, I said, if push comes to shove and they end up, we'll just pay them $100 a month until I'm dead. And then they can come get the hip, come repo it. That's what I said. Come get the hip and repo it. I don't care. but didn't have $74,000. That's for sure. And so the insurance company, we even went to the Georgia uh, government insurance commissioner, wrote them. Of course, everything takes forever. I mean, you write somebody and it's months and months and months before you hear back from them. And we talked to the commissioner, and they wrote back and said, sorry, but their fine print says pre-existing, and it wasn't pre-existing. If you have a pain, I didn't know what it was. It's just pain. And I went in, and the doctor said you need to do hip. And so that's what we did. But they weren't going to pay it. And then one day in, I think it was like September of last year or the year before, I'm out doing my business, doing errands and stuff. And I call home, and my wife answers the phone, and she's crying. She's weeping, wailing on the phone, weeping. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She said, I just got off the phone with the hospital. That's not what you want to say to somebody, because I thought somebody had died or something had happened. But she was weeping in joy, because she proceeded to tell me the story that she had called the hospital and told them, hey, tell me the bill. We're going to make up payment plans, and we're going to start paying $100 a month or whatever to pay this thing off until my husband's dead. That's basically what she was going to tell him. And he said, let me bring it up. He brought up the thing and says, oh, your balance is zero. Zero. And she goes, what? No, let me tell you, his date of birth is this. I think you got the wrong person. She redid it. He said, no, your balance is zero. Last year, now this is like almost a year had taken, or maybe it had been 6 months. I don't know. My wife knows the story better than I, because she was the one that did it. But it was either 6 months or a year. The prior October, she said, the billing guy told her, said the hospital decided to take a few accounts that were due and pay them off as Christmas gifts. Now, we didn't apply for anything. We didn't apply for special treatment. We didn't have to send any paperwork, nothing. We didn't do any of that stuff. It's just they took ours and paid for it and said, your balance is zero. And that's the reason she was weeping. She was crying. God took care of that bill. $74,000. God took care of it. And listen, ye of little faith, because I preach the gospel. I believe God's word, but that just shocked me, because I have never had a financial miracle like that. I should believe more. That is for sure. And put my trust in God, because my wife sure did, and it was taken care of, and we owed zero. And I said, can they send that, in writing? So he sent the bill in writing, put a little smiley face. Your account is zero. $74,000. We tried everything out there, and God says, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. And the thing is, it was in October of the previous year that they did that. And here, this whole time, we're worrying. And Donna said, see there? We worried for nothing. God's already got it taken care of. We were going through months of worry. God already took care. So don't worry. This time that we're going through right now, don't worry. God's going to take care of you. Put your trust in him. We're going through financial hardships now, Donna and I, because of this virus and all the stuff. We can't get out and work and do our ministry. But I'm learning to rest in God and put my trust in him, because he will take care of us. He'll meet our need. That's what it's about. So I wanted to share that with you. That was a financial miracle. And God's going to take care of you too. Now, he might not wipe out your bill like that. I don't know. But he's going to take care of you. He knows us. He sees us. And he is going to meet our needs. So put your trust in him. Let go of it. Don't worry. Just let it go and give it to God, and let him wrap his arms around you, and he'll take care of you during this tough time. So thank you so much for joining me today. This has been fun. We're going to try to have more things like this. It's just a fun time, and interviews, and some funny pictures, maybe some funny videos, and we'll do some things along the way. Share this with your friends. This will be, of course, archived and put on Facebook and YouTube. Once you see it, please share it. Share it, share it, share it. I want to get people to start getting this, and tell people about the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScottDavisTV, youtube.com/ScottDavisTV. That's right here. You can see it right there. So we're on Facebook, YouTube TV, and of course my website, ScottDavis.com. So go there, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell, ring the little bell. That means that it will notify you when I go live. So check all that out. Thank you for joining me today. Love you guys. Keep the faith, and go to my website and support Billy Lord by getting that record. Thank you.